So hopefully I can drive today without killing anybody. Because I almost got hit pulling out of my neighborhood. That's because on Highway 24 people drive like jackasses. But anyway, what's consistency and how do you get it? I'm almost 47 and I still struggle with it. So I would bet that everybody else out there struggles with it. Maybe not. But I find that in my day-to-day life, both professional and personal, I struggle with consistency. Like most days, both work and weekends, I wake up with an idea of how the day is going to go, try to make a things to-do list, and then inevitably life happens and everything takes a drastic turn. Not necessarily a bad turn, right? Especially at work, because of the business that I'm in. Things have a tendency to escalate throughout the day because of, people. I'm in the kind of job where people call me with their problems, which is fine. That's what I do for a living, so okay, no big deal. But yeah, I think it was Einstein that said repeating the same behavior over and over again and expecting a different outcome is the definition of insanity. And I drive myself nuts with that quote because, in my life, I'll do that. I get in these ruts from time to time where I do the same things over and over again, like staying up too late or drinking on a weekday. And I don't get like hammered or anything, but having a couple drinks, and at my age, even just one or two can negatively affect your sleep. So I know that the next day I'm gonna still get up super early because that's what I do, and then I'm gonna be dragging all day, and I'm gonna be irritable and frustrated, and it compounds that whole perceived lack of consistency or actual lack of consistency, or a combination of the both of those that I have in my life. So yeah, how do you get around that, right? Like, what do you do about it? I don't exactly know. I think you just have to try to assess yourself and be honest about the negative behaviors in your life, and then try to figure out how you eliminate them. That's the part that's easier said than done, right? Like, it's pretty easy to figure out what your negative behaviors are, but breaking the habits or changing the behavior is the harder part, because I think we get comfortable, with things and with life, and we tell ourselves like, well, my life's not that bad, everything's good, this behavior's not killing me, or whatever the case may be. We somehow justify it to ourselves that like it's okay, I don't know. I just think it's frustrating. And even though I do social media and love social media, I think that social media doesn't help, because I think people have a tendency on social media to project something that they're not. And I think the reality is that most people, even really consistent and really effective people, have to work really hard at being that way. It's like the gym. Like, I go through periods where I'm super consistent. Like, I get up early, I go, I follow a program, I do what I'm supposed to do. And then I always inevitably, after a couple months or 6 months or whatever the case is for that time of my life, something happens and I let that knock me out of my consistency. And then, or I use something as an excuse of like, well, I don't feel good today, so I'm not going to go. And then that turns into 3 days off, and then you go back for a day, and then you take 2 days off because you're sore because you weren't consistent. So anyway, but back to the whole comment about social media, and let me finish that thought. I think the reality is most people have imposter syndrome, and most people, even if they're comfortable in their own skin, because I would say that I'm comfortable in my own skin, and I've accepted who I am as a person, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm happy with my negative habits and that I don't want to find ways to be even better, whatever the area is in my life, right? I'll just give you a personal example, since my channel's about music and guitar playing. I have a tendency to focus on the gear and do that whole thing of like, well, if I just got this piece of gear, then I would have the tone that I want, or then I could write the music that I want. And the reality is, you don't need all that stuff. You need very minimal stuff. I mean, you know what I mean? What you really need is you need the self-discipline to sit down with a piece of paper and a pen and some sort of instrument and focus and try to actually create something. Yet, for some reason, every time I sit down to do that, I don't follow through. So I'll just tell you that I've got, a bunch of unfinished songs. I've got a bunch of halfway done recordings and bits and pieces of stuff, and it's even like with YouTube, I had this plan that I wrote out of like, I'm going to do a short on Tuesday, and then I'm going to do this vlog on Thursday and upload it on Friday, and then on the weekends I'm gonna have a whole video that I wrote, and every 2 weeks I'm gonna post a long form video or whatever. And I still haven't done all that. I've done some of that, but I think with me, I have a tendency to think about like 40 different things that I need to do, vice and trying to like multitask and accomplish like a multitude of things, vice just saying, okay, today I'm gonna do this one thing. So that's kind of what this vlog is. And this vlog, quite frankly, probably won't do that well, because I don't know that most people want to hear me rant for 10 or 12 minutes about my own personal stuff. I will say I'm researching the whole legality and copyright issues with if I was to play a particular song that I'm really into and then share my thoughts about the song or what it means to me. I'm going to try to do that, but I don't know if that violates copyright stuff. I'm not monetized, so it's not like I care if something doesn't get monetized. I do think it's jacked up that YouTube puts ads on my videos and I don't get any revenue from it, but whatever. I mean, that's the way the game is played until you get to a certain level, and I'm not at that level yet, so whatever. Let's be honest, this vlog's probably not going to get me there. I'm going to have to figure out something else. But I like this vlog. It's more about therapy for me. And again, back to my comments about social media, where I think people project, this like super together lifestyle of like, I'm awesome and I have all this stuff and everything's great. And the reality is, most of our lives are sort of like, like one of those like a real woven tapestry or something, where like it's or like a cross stitch, or one of those kind of things where like on the top it's like a super pretty design, and on the outside we look like we've got it all together, but if you flip it over, there's like knots and like strings, and it's kind of messy. And I was in this thing the other day with our big boss, and he drew 2 different arrows, and one of them was a straight arrow going up, and the other one was an arrow that went up, but it had all these like squiggles back and forth and up and down as it went up. And I think that's more the reality, right? Is that life is messy, and then when it comes to like evaluating your own life and your own successes, I think it's important to realize that, it's an uphill climb, but the bumps are kind of what you climb on. I'm sure I should probably give somebody credit for that quote. I think it's a book I read that somebody gave me at one point. But you can get so focused on all the things that your life is not, and this ties into what I said in the first video about gratitude, that you can miss a whole lot of living and a whole lot of fun, and realize what you do have, right? So for as frustrated that I am that I'm not like this huge successful YouTuber that like can make all this money from YouTube and not have to work a regular job, that's not where I'm at right now, because like the production quality and my writing abilities and video editing abilities are not there yet. So that's one of those things where that's going to be a climb, and there's going to be a lot of bumps, and there's going to be a lot of failures along the way. But that's the reality of life, man, is that I can tell you, after almost 47 years of living, I've learned way more from all the failures in my life than from the successes. But anyway, I'm almost at 10 minutes on the clock, and I'm about to get into the part of the Highway 70 where if I'm on my phone, there's lights and stuff, and I will probably wind up getting in a wreck. So I'm gonna sign off, but just remember a couple things. Life is messy, and you're gonna screw stuff up, and that's okay. When you do screw up, like, live up to it. Try to understand what you did wrong, what you can do better, you know what I mean? And build off of that. Be honest with yourself and with people around you about it. Realize that everybody's a work in progress, no matter how together they seem. And just be thankful for the positive things you have in your life, and try not to focus all the time on the negatives, and try to learn something new every day. All right, y'all, have a great day. Bye-bye.